Hi, everybody. I'm David Gertler, and I'm thrilled that everybody could be on the call today. If you're on this call, you're probably a leader of a business networking organization, and you've probably used Zoom or tried to use something similar to Zoom to host virtual networking events, only to discover that Zoom, in and of itself, isn't a panacea. And you're looking for a better way to create value for members of your business networking organization. The good news is, while it's a relatively new problem for most people, Treble, we've been studying this for a number of years, and we've created a solution that you can get started with using right away. Almost all in-person events have some time for networking, and that provides people an ability to kind of walk up, talk to people, meet folks, and the natural inclination is to try to replicate this using video conferencing, but it just doesn't really work. Even if you use breakout rooms, it's not the same. So one of the misconceptions that people harbor is they try simply to take what typically has worked in physical environments and say, all right, we'll just slap that into the virtual environment. And unfortunately, it doesn't work for a lot of reasons, right? When you're in a physical event, you walk up to people and you can talk to folks one-on-one and you can have private conversations. Whereas in virtual events, you have this strange phenomenon that, really only one person can speak at a time, and you might want to have a private conversation, but everybody can see it. Maybe you can have chats on the side, et cetera. So it's really a very different type of experience. And also for most of your members, the goals that they have in the back of their head when they attend these meetings, in addition to hearing about the content, they've got a list of things that they're looking for. We call them wishes, right? They're looking to find new clients. They're looking to find deals. They want to catch up with people. They want to look for trends in the industry, right? They've got a specific agenda that they have in mind. Oh, so-and-so is going to be there. I want to talk to that person. And so, part of our thinking is you have to put yourself in the shoes of your members and think, what is it they're looking for? What is it they want to get out of this event? How do we help facilitate that? Being an engineer, everything's a flow chart, but I tried to make the flow chart a little bit interesting in some regard. And the problem is that, for most people, networking in a physical environment kind of goes like this, right? They walk into the room and they scan around and they say, who do I know? Who's a familiar face? And if they know that person, they have a natural inclination. Hey, let me walk up to so-and-so. I know that person. Let me catch up with them. And there's a lot of small talk that's thrown around. How have you been? What's going on with the family, et cetera, et cetera. And chances are that's a comfort zone, and you end up not talking about anything that's really productive or valuable. But that's a comfort thing, and most people are creatures of comfort. Or if you walk in and you don't recognize any familiar faces, you might sit around, scan the room, and say, all right, which group am I going to interrupt? Who am I going to walk up to? And it's almost like dating. You got to get your nerve up and try to figure out, what do I say? How do I walk up? Do I approach these people? How do I interrupt them? And again, when you do that, more often than not, you're going to start with small talk. Oh, where are you guys from? What are you guys doing? Et cetera. And very infrequently does that also lead to something of real value. So those are the challenges, whether you're in person or in virtual. They're really quite the same, right? The people who are attending these kind of virtual events, they're only going to meet a couple of people. They don't get a chance to meet everybody at the event, and they're not sure who. It's also, as I mentioned, hard to break in. You see a group of people talking. You don't know if they're friends or business associates, or they're talking about something, personal or professional, and then you also don't know what the vector is, right? What should I talk to these people about? How do I approach them? And maybe I have something in common with them, but I don't really know. And again, there's a heavy focus on just transactional things, right? Very superficial kinds of things, as opposed to networking, which we define as building long-term professional business relationships for mutual benefit. So really the bottom line for most people is that if you think about it, these business professionals who attend your events to network, what they really want to do is build and leverage relationships for mutual benefit. So ultimately what they want to get out of your event is figuring out quickly, who should I talk to? What should I talk to them about? How do I create value? How do I help them? How do I let them know if they can help me? How do I discover whether we have enough things in common such that, I should spend some time, I should tell the person, hey, let's grab a coffee later. Let's talk later. I think we have a few things that we can discuss. Here are 3 ways that I can help you, and here are 2 ways that you can help me in return. And that's really what they're looking to do. So imagine, oh, my mouse froze. So imagine if you could walking into a room or in a virtual event, and above everybody's head, there was a short little description of the person that really outlined 3 things. We call them 3 questions. What is your background? How can you help others? And what is it you're looking for? We call that wishes. So in a virtual environment, right, the ability to walk into a room like a Zoom room and be able to see those people and hear them just very quickly in 30 seconds or 1 minute or however many amount of time, be able to quickly and easily get a general sense of that person's background, what they can do to help you and what they're looking for, really unlocks a tremendous amount of opportunity for you to figure out who you should talk to and what you should talk to them about after the meeting. So our goal in creating Treble and this feature that we call Treble Time is to help you or your members build long-term, mutually beneficial and valuable business relationships. The way that we do that is to help your members quickly discover ways to help others. I was on a call this morning. I'll have to take a tangent. I was on a call this morning, and one of the people on the call happened to mention that he is a chair of a subcommittee and they have an event coming up in July and he was looking for a speaker. And there was another person that says, oh, I'd be happy to talk about, I'm an expert in XYZ, right? So it's amazing that unless he had said that, he probably never would have made that connection. So there's so much hidden value in your network, in your community. And what Treble is really trying to do is unlock that and expose those touch points where members can figure out how to help other members. So with Treble Time, you'll get a few seconds to quickly and easily go around the room and see who people are, what are their backgrounds, what they can do for you, what you can do for them. And what we're really trying to do is kick up this power of reciprocity, that generate this multiplier effect. Many years ago, I was looking for a job, and I ended up connecting with a few other people that were also at the time looking for a job. We ended up getting together physically every 2 weeks to grab a coffee and a little bit commiserate, but a lot to share ideas and leads and say, oh, I found this, they're not looking for me, that, this is your skill set, etc. And it became incredibly valuable because not only did I have this little support group, but I had a few people that were actively looking to help me and give me leads and vice versa, right? So you can be a business development person and you can, focus on meeting lots of people, and that's a linear type of thing. But if you make a great set of connections with people who are actively trying to help you, you've now multiplied yourself by X, and that enables you to unlock so much more potential opportunities for yourselves. And that's really what this is all about. So with that, I'm going to pause for a second or two, and then I'm going to show everybody a quick demo. Are any questions that we have so far? Going once, going twice. Cool. So let me show everybody a demo. Some of you have already seen this, and that's great. And so just look surprised when I get to the good stuff. And for those of you who haven't already seen it, again, I'm just going to touch upon a few of the simpler things. Treble is a very robust business networking platform, and we are both mobile as well as desktop. We've got tons of analytics and many different mathematical algorithms that help people find ways to help each other, help make connections to people, etc. But I'm just going to show you a little bit of this meeting manager that we have, in which Treble Time is one small piece. So for an event like we have today, I can easily go in and create an agenda. And this is actually an event that we have coming up. I have to modify it a little bit, but most virtual networking events and most physical events have a similar kind of outline. There'll be a welcome for a few minutes. Then what we promote is this idea of success stories. The idea that if you're trying to build a more altruistic community where people are actively helping each other, highlighting success stories, member X helped member Y by introducing a person who became a great client, right? The more that you can highlight those success stories, the more you're setting expectations for people and the more value they know is out there. There's nothing like hearing 2 or 3 success stories prior to or at the beginning of an event for people to say, boy, I need to get my act together. Looks like these people are helping each other. This sounds like a great organization. I want to put more of my time in here. As we all know, there are tons of different networking organizations and more events than you can possibly attend and more Zoom sessions than you really want to attend. So you have to think that your members, they've got a lot of demands on their time. They're going to spend their time where it's most valuable. And if they see an organization where members are helping other members find new clients, speaking engagements, board appointments, internships for their kids, whatever it is, they're naturally going to want to spend more time in that organization. So we encourage this success story, and we have some tools built into our application that allow individuals to report success stories, and time permitting, I may show a demo of that as well. Then before, a keynote speaker or a panel discussion or wherever the featured content is, we typically do about 15, 20 minutes of networking. Depending upon the number of people, we may have one room, or we may break it up into multiple rooms. That's one of the nice features of Zoom, is you can create multiple breakout rooms and set them up. We found a sweet spot to be somewhere about 15 to 20 people in a room. So if you have an event where you have 100 people, maybe you want to break it up into 5 different breakout rooms. If you have an event and you have 25 people, you can potentially do all of them in one room. So it really is up to you. But we have found that breaking up into about 15 to 20 people and giving each person anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute to speak is just a kind of a good balance. I had a session this morning. We had 23 people on the call. We just kept it as one room. We allocated about 30 seconds per person, but we weren't super tight on it. We let people go a little bit long, and it just worked really, really well. People really felt comfortable with that. After the introductions and the profiles, bring everybody back. Now you've kind of warmed up the crowd. People are engaged. They've had a few seconds to talk about themselves. They've seen the ability. They've seen what other people and who else is in the room, what those people are all about, what they're looking for, and then they can potentially chat with them, on the side, and if you're using Zoom or one of the other tools. But we also recommend, very strongly that you leave people with a few key messages, which are, make sure you follow up, right? This Treble Time is not meant to supplant their networking, right? It's more of just like a quick business card, right? It's just an introduction. What they really need to do is, after the call, think about all those people. And hopefully we also recommend that as we're going through profiles, take notes, right? David said this and Sally said that, and this person, I know somebody that can help Bill, right? So if you take notes while you're listening, you can then have a great opportunity to follow up after the call and say, hey, David, I noticed that you said XYZ. I know a person who would be great for you. Let me make that introduction. Let me help you out. And by doing that, you're creating great goodwill, and that will more likely than not lead to this reciprocity, people who are going to want to help you. But again, if you have a speaker or a panel, you can feature that, have some Q&A, wrap up. It's kind of a standard kind of thing. I'll quickly show you a success story or two just to give you a sample. I'll pick on this. This is one of my faves, right? Lauren, who's actually on the call, knows this young gentleman named Nate. Nate had said to Lauren, hey, Lauren, I'm looking for a lawyer. Can you recommend somebody? And Lauren happens to know Catherine. So Lauren introduced Nate to Catherine. Catherine said, hey, thank you so much, Lauren. I really appreciate you introducing me. It's a new potential client for Catherine. So if this were one of our calls or one of the member organizations that are on Treble, we'd have a few of these at the beginning of each meeting. And again, it's just a great way to jumpstart this expectation that all your members should be actively looking. It's not a requirement, but you're encouraging and you're rewarding people by the good that they do for others, right? So you're trying to reinforce this altruistic, help other kind of thing. People don't get, unlike LinkedIn, which is more about self-promotion, in Treble, you get recognition by helping others. And then you can move into the introductions. And again, I'll just show you what that might look like. I'll bring up, I've got my profile kind of loaded here, right? I won't do 45 seconds. Let me change it down and pop in the meeting profiles, and I'll set up for just 20 seconds just to give you a sense of what it looks like. So when we do the introductions, and again, this is just a small piece of Treble, but it's so valuable in today's environment where everybody's trying to figure out how to facilitate introductions using Zoom. My background, I set it up a couple of years ago, haven't really touched that since, but the wishes for me, the things that I'm looking for, they're changing. And so these are the current wishes that I have. But what we typically do is tell people, hit refresh, and we'd say, all right, David, you've got 45 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever, to answer those 3 questions, go. And I would say, hi, everybody, this is David Gertler. I'm CEO of Treble. Treble is a software platform, et cetera. I've been a software engineer. I've been a project manager. I tell a little bit more about background. I describe how I help other people. I was an introvert. I still am an introvert, but I've learned the hard way how to network. I've given talks about networking, et cetera. And then finally, I transition over to the wishes. And I would say, I've got 3 wishes posted. I'm looking to meet angel investors who are interested in investing in Treble. I'm looking to meet visionary business leaders, hopefully like yourselves, who are interested in bringing Treble to their community. And I'm also looking to add a part-time salesperson to my team. You notice that the screen changed at the clock. I'm sure all of you, if you've ever run a meeting, whether it's in person or virtual, you've always had the experience where somebody, when you say, hey, David, go ahead and tell us about yourself, they go on and on and on and on, right? So we set up this little shot clock here. And again, you can adjust the timer. But what's nice is that you get this little thank you for sharing that comes up, the visual cue, their background kind of fades. And even on this call this morning that I facilitated with one of our partner organizations, there were a couple of people that went a little long, but they got the little visual cue. And then we politely said, hey, thank you so much, David. Thank you. It's time to move on to the next person. So you can do this ahead of time. You can queue people up. Like, for example, if I know some of the people who are going to be on the call, like here's Lauren, and then I'll bring up Abby. Abby's on the call. If I know who's going to be on the call ahead of time, I can simply queue them up, and you can see up here on my tabs, as soon as David is presented, I can run over and just do Lauren, and then after Lauren's finished, I can jump over to Abby. And if people aren't, if I don't know who's going to be on the call, I can just quickly do a quick search in here. Don't know. We've got a couple of Ricks on this call. And then we also have a guest membership. So for anybody who doesn't have a profile set up, you can just use this blank one essentially. And I'll just click on refresh, sets my timer back to the 30 seconds, which was the default for the event this morning. And then, you can click on it and that person can go. And what they'll realize is they're missing out, right? Their background, people are visual, right? They'll see their face, but they're missing the experience of having their name, their background, their wishes physically and visually in other people's awareness. And so it's less likely people are going to reach out. So that's a little extra incentive for them to fill out their profiles. The other insight that we've had over the years is going back to the idea that people tend to talk on and on and on. We found that if a person has a background that's been filled out already, I'll just refresh this page here real quick. If their background is already on a screen, they're less likely to try to fill in all the gaps and talk about everything because they know it's already up there. Plus, they realize that they really want to spend the time on the wishes, the things that they're looking for. So if you tell them, please start with a simple background, they can look at the shot clock, realize, oh my goodness, time's running out. Let me get to what my wants, right? And what's nice also is they know everybody else is going to talk about their wishes as well. So it creates this comfortable environment where people are not afraid to say, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. How do I help you? Oh, I know somebody. It just kind of makes it more acceptable to say I'm looking for something. Whereas even in physical meetings, when you walk up to people many times, there's a bravado, a sense of, hey, I must project this image of tremendous success. I don't need anything, even though you're looking for clients or you're looking for a board appointment or you're looking for something. You often want to project this air of tremendous success, and you're not letting people know how to help you. So that's a quick and dirty view of just this one little feature within Treble, which is called the Treble Time, and this whole piece is called Meeting Manager. I'll pause for a moment or two, see if there are any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and speak up if there are any questions. All right, then otherwise I'll move forward. One more thing that we have within the platform that might be interesting to a lot of folks is, again, myself and the folks that help build this application, we've run networking groups for many, many years. And so we realized that part of what will help are some features like the ability to show your members activity. Too often, there's a lot of really valuable networking that's happening in the shadows, right? Even in a physical event, you might see people off to the side and they're talking and they're exchanging business cards, and you know something's going on, but you don't have a way of highlighting it. With Treble, we balance this with our privacy, and we don't sell data and we don't share data. Your data is your data. It's none of our business to know who you introduce to whom. But you're able to see, the leaders of the business networking organization are able to see aggregated data. So they can see, for example, in this particular group, the number of wishes created has skyrocketed in the last 2 months. The number of introductions kind of come down a little bit. Obviously, this is just the first week of June, so we're still relatively early, or second week of June, so we're relatively early in the month. But you can kind of see what's going on in terms of the number of referrals that are made, the number of introductions that are made, and the number of wishes that are made. Similarly, you can look and see the types of wishes that are out there. For many of the wish types, categories, there's 2 different directions. In the jobs category, you're either looking for a candidate you're looking to hire, or you're looking for a new opportunity. Business opportunity, some people are looking for expertise, and other people are looking for clients. Mentors, connections, board appointments, right? So you're able, and many of the organizations take this data and push it out to their members in their newsletters and let them know, hey, this is what's going on in our community. These are the types of wishes that are out there. This is the amount of activity. If you're not tapping into our business networking group, you're missing out, because there's real stuff going on and there are members that are helping each other. So again, this goes hand in hand with the success stories. All right. For some reason, my trackpad died on me here. Let me just see if I can grab that up. Trackpad, yeah, it says it's working. Oh, there we go. All right. Any other questions on this? Shoot. All right, give me 1 second. Lost that window. All right, cool. So that's a quick overview of Treble Meeting Manager and Treble Time. We've got so many more features and functions buried within the app. We've got a lot of analytics. One of the really neat features that we built is a set of algorithms, one of which is a wish match. So if I post a wish saying, I'm looking to hire a lawyer somewhere in Baltimore, and Catherine posts a wish saying she's looking for new clients because she is a lawyer in Baltimore, the system's smart enough to say, hey, David, you should reach out to Catherine. Catherine, you should talk to David. It looks like you have complementary wishes. And so I'll get an alert. She'll get an alert. We have 9 rules like that, which become really powerful. So in our AI section, which is not really artificial intelligence, it's more actionable insights, people will get alerts letting them know who they should reach out to, how to help each other, and give you specific reasons why. Again, so many more analytics that I can show, but I want to move on to some general tips and tricks for hosting successful meetings, whether you use Treble or not. What we recommend, we've got a great kit. We've been doing physical and virtual meetings for many, many years, and we've been working with a number of different business networking groups for years. So we like to consolidate, and we've got a great kit that allows leaders of business networking groups effectively host these meetings. And these are just a few ideas, right? First thing you do, pick your event. What kind of style is it going to be? You're going to have a panel. You're going to have an individual keynote speaker. How much time is it going to be? Dates, all those kind of things, right? You knock that out. But then we have a checklist that leads you from there, setting the agenda, sending out members to invite them, encouraging your members, if you do use Treble, to join, fill out their profiles, update their wishes, give them previews of what you want them to experience. You want those people to know going in that it's not going to be yet another Zoom meeting where I sit in the background and just watch, right? We've got tons of YouTube videos and tutorials to help people get started as well. As I mentioned earlier, during Treble Time, during the introductions, always make it a point to encourage people to actively listen, to take notes. You have a pad or paper with them. In our app, there's actually a notes section. So when I meet people, generally I'll put a little note in that part, and it's completely private. Hey, really nice person, they like baseball, or person that's into cars or whatever it is, right? So take notes, write down ideas so that after the meeting who to follow up with. Years ago, my trick was to write on people's business cards. When they would give me a business card, I put a little note there to keep a reminder. Reminding people also that, as I mentioned earlier, the real magic happens after the call, right? Don't expect to make that big deal right then and there on that call. Understand that what you really want to do is look for who to speak to and have one or two ideas of what to talk about, whether it's something you can do for them or something they might be able to do for you. And then afterwards, follow up. And again, the third key philosophy is to encourage your members. It's about reciprocity. This was one of the lessons I learned early on when I was pushing myself to network. I would go out and I would make mistakes. I would say, hey, I'm looking for a job, this is my background, etc. And people were very polite, but not many people were helpful. But then I quickly started asking, what do you do? What's your background? What can I do for you? And for some people, they didn't really need any help, but they were really impressed that I took the time to ask, even though they knew I was there asking them for help. And for others, I started making those connections for them. They would say, oh, I'm looking for this, or I'm looking for a person like that, or I'm looking for an internship. One of my favorite stories is there was a time years ago where I was at an event, and during the introductions, when it came to my turn to say, what am I looking for? I didn't really need anything, but I happened to mention that my daughter was a freshman at Virginia Tech. She would probably look for an internship next summer. This was October of her freshman year. And sure enough, 6 people said, hey, I'm hiring. I know somebody. Get me a resume, etc. And she landed an amazing internship, right? You never know until you ask. So, after those people helped me, I bent over backwards to say, what can I do for you? How do I help you? What can I do in return? There's an amazing power of reciprocity. So it's super important to let your members know that it's important to reach out first. Also, after the event, encourage members to share success stories. There's lots of follow-up that occurs, and it typically is invisible to the leaders of the business networking group, but it's so valuable. So encourage your members, hey, if somebody at this event or somebody in our group has helped you, please let us know. If you want it to be private, that's fine. If you want to share, just tell us what we can share with other people, and we'll be thrilled. Even if it's just saying, so-and-so introduced me to a new client, or so-and-so gave me some really great advice. Solicit that kind of success, because that will help you build that sense of community within your organization. Understand that even though people aren't on the call, they still have the ability to post wishes on Treble, to look at other people's wishes on Treble, and to continue to do good things for others in between your weekly or monthly meetings. So encourage people, go on Treble, help each other, look for wishes, make connections, etc. And of course, update the wishes, right? And one little caveat on that is the more specific, the better. Again, using an example from this morning, there was a woman on a call who's an attorney, and she said, I'm looking for new clients. And I paused her there and I said, be more specific, right? What kind of law do you practice? What's your ideal client, etc. So, the more specific you are on the wish, the easier it is for people to help. And that's super important. And then again, just as I mentioned a little earlier, following up from the organization, sharing dashboards, sharing information, letting people know that there's a lot going on in the community. And the more you do that, the more people will feel engaged, the more it will build on itself, and the more likely people will feel that this was a tremendous success and they're eager to participate, not only in the current, but in future events as well. So with that, I hit my half hour. I'm going to take a pause and see if there are any other questions or comments or thoughts or even new ideas that people want to share.
I have a comment, David.
Please.
I actually wasn't aware of I mean, obviously I have seen this before and I have already seen value in Treble's resources, but I wasn't aware of the data and metrics component of it. Um, and I think that's really interesting. I feel like that's definitely something. I'm glad to hear you playing that up a little bit, because I would imagine that organizations broadly would find that to be incredibly useful information, because, as we're all remote, it's harder to find ways to effectively track data and help people reach metrics. And, this could be a really great step in that direction.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, there's two pieces. I appreciate that. There's really two different analytics, right? One is for individuals and one is for organizations. What I showed here is just for organizations. One of the challenges that many organizations face is renewals or attracting new members to join. And so we gave a lot of thought to it. Imagine if you could show data like this that says how many introductions are being made, how many referrals are being made, how many jobs, internships, speaking engagements, how much real networking is going on. That can then provide the leaders of business networking groups with the data necessary to convince their members, this is why you should renew, or their prospective members, hey, this is why you should join. Look at all the things that are going on. So for business leaders, one of their challenges is renewals and new member attraction. So we built a lot of these tools specifically for them. For individuals, we've got a lot of fun tools like, and maybe I'll bring it up if people are interested, a capability called a goodwill graph that allows individuals to see who's helped them the most, who they owe favors to, who's done the most for them, etc. A resource graph that shows which organizations help me the most. Where do most of my leads come from? Is it from organization A, or is it from this chamber of commerce, or is it that tech council, or this other alumni association? So we provide tons of tools for individuals, but also tools specifically designed for leaders of business networking groups so that you can then demonstrate the value to your members. So thanks, Elizabeth.
of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a question about travel within an organization compared to your national power networkers meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I'd like to do in my organization is to have our members be able to expand into a national group. Could you talk a bit about how often the national are and what success stories have been from people from different organizations interacting with each other?
Sure. Great question. So Treble, we're about helping business networking groups grow, thrive, and build a stronger community. That's our primary focus. We're hosting, once a month, we host a power networking session that we invite pretty much anybody to participate in. And the goal, we usually have keynote speakers or a panel discussion, but we'll also feature Treble Time to make these introductions, etc. We do this really for two reasons. One, it's just a great opportunity for us to give back to our members and help them meet new people and expose different people from different organizations. So we're just thrilled to do this. And the second is it also helps model, it puts into practice everything that we learn. So when new organizations say, how does this work and show me this, etc., we welcome them to come on board. We're not looking to supplant other kinds of organizations. So most of the organizations that we have, chambers of commerce, tech councils, alumni groups, etc., they've got very specific charters. Some groups are trying to grow, and we've worked very closely with a couple of different organizations that say, hey, right now we're in New York City, but we'd love to open up a chapter in Miami and then a chapter in, I think, Philly was the next one. And it's like, all right, great, we'll help you, and we can provide this platform to help you grow from just a small geography to a region to a national. And so we provide tools and mentorship, and we've got a pricing structure that helps you, grow with us as well. So all those things are available if your organization is looking to expand we're eager to see you guys grow.